That was an amazing selection. Welcome to Real Talk with Michelle. I am your host, Michelle McLean. Today, my guest is an accomplished musician. His name is Assel Jean-Pierre Sr. Assel Jean-Pierre Sr. was born in Haiti. His greatest achievement in life are his two children, Assel Jr. and Brittany. Assel is married to the beautiful Wilhelmina Jean-Pierre. He is a product of Christian education and completed his formal studies at the Adventist University of Haiti. He is a licensed pianist from the Haitian Conservatory of Music, where he was classically trained under the tutelage of the late renowned teacher, Solon Verrett. For the past 45 years, Assel has built an impressive musical career. He is known for his great musical diversity, classical, gospel, jazz, you name it, he plays it. He is known to be an energetic and well-disciplined piano teacher, choir and orchestra director, gifted with a passion like no other. During his 26 years in the tri-state area, he served as choir director and church musician at the Ebenezer SDA Church in Freeport, New York for 23 years. He also served as the minister of music at Amity Baptist Church for 13 years. Assel has performed at the New York Governor's Mansion, the New York City Mayor's Mansion, Regis City Hall, the Lincoln Center, and many other venues. He has also trained countless numbers of students in the U.S., and some of whom are now very accomplished musicians. He has left his mark in many churches, forever changing their appreciation and view of the power of music in ministry. Assel continues to lead multiple congregations with his powerful God-given gift. He currently serves as the minister of music for the Palm Bay SDA Church, working with the renowned international singer, Pastor Wintley Phipps. He also serves the musical staff of Antioch Missionary Baptist Church and the Gilgal SDA Church. Assel is a lover of music. Assel's view is that without music, the world would cease to exist. It's all about the music. So, Assel, I've known you for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Too long.
And I also know about this gift that you have, this musical gift, and the passion that you have for music. So we're going to dive in and we're going to talk about this passion that you have. Wow. We're going to talk about this musical career of yours. But first, tell me a little bit about who is Assel Jean-Pierre Sr.? Who is Assel?
I don't know who you just introduced.
You.
I'm a simple person. God has blessed me with a special gift. I love to play. I enjoy music. I started very early, and that's my life. That's all you need to know about me. That's it. Nothing else. Next question, please.
The music. Okay, so let's talk about, I know that you've played in churches for a very long time.
I think that's where I met you.
Yes,
That's
yes,
right. We go
yes,
way back
yes,
in Freeport, Long
yes.
Island. You used to sing in my choir,
yes.
right? Yes.
Yes.
And I remember you were a good choir member.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Got it.
So tell me, were you raised in the Seventh-day Adventist faith?
Yes. Wow. I just bit my tongue. I realized for the first time I'm going to say that I was born from the late Assel Jean-Pierre. That's my dad, who passed this year. And I think it's the first time in public I'm referring to my dad as the late Pastor Assel Jean-Pierre. But God is good. He's lived 88 years. That's my father and my mother. Blessed with, don't call me PK, but I was blessed with some extraordinary parents. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is no longer. But God is good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you grew up in the Seventh-day Adventist faith, and Were you playing growing up as a child in the church? How did that come about?
Well, my dad as a pastor, my dad first played the accordion. And very early on, he realized that as a pastor, they were bouncing him all over the place. He couldn't find musicians. And Dad is a lover of music. My dad always loved to do choirs and in his churches. And as soon as we started, all his 4 children, as soon as we were 7, 8, he made sure all 4 of us started to learn how to play. And to this day, the 3 of us that are still alive are very much church musicians. Although my sister's a doctor, she practices full-time medicine, but on Saturday morning, you find her on the piano at her church.
Oh, nice.
That's at Dr. Elkin Jean-Pierre. My brother, me, you'll find us playing in somebody's church every Saturday. My brother and myself, me, we also play on Sundays, different denominations. But that was a big thing at home. We had to do music because my dad wanted to have choirs, and some churches where they send you, there's no musicians, so he made sure all of us were ready.
Nice. So let me ask you, growing up with siblings that played as well, and with your father, also a musician, what was it like growing up in a home where you all played? Was it, sitting together playing different instruments at a time? What was that like?
We had one piano at the house, so we had to rotate. So the way it started, my sister and I, I'm the eldest, followed by my sister. We had the lessons. We had teachers, and back then in Haiti, piano lessons with Solon, one of the top Haitian teachers, most pastors couldn't afford that. It was expensive. I remember the sacrifice that my parents made for us to receive that training. It was no joke.
Right.
So when I came back home, I had to teach my younger brother, and my sister had to teach the other one.
Oh, wow.
And that went on for about 4 or 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
Wow.
there was one piano in the house, so that piano was always being played.
Rotated.
And when we got to recital time, I can tell you there was one Saturday night I got on that piano, I practiced for 24 hours. I didn't stop practicing not until the following Sunday night.
Wow. Why was that?
I was preparing an official performance, pretty much my final recital, but it was to be presented at what we had at the time called the White House, in front of the president, all these big people in the country. So I was the chosen performer for that night. And Lord knows, it was quite uneven. So I had to step up and
Got it right.
and do justice for my teacher, the late Solon Veget.
Wow. I can see just from you stating how long you practiced, I can see where that discipline and perfectionist attitude comes from.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because
that's
you're
right.
very known for that. You're very disciplined.
Thank you.
So so as a young child, you realized, okay, you learned to play, but when did you realize that you had a passion for music, especially for playing the piano? At what age? I mean, yes, you grew up in a family taking lessons and it was nurtured by your dad, but at what point did you realize that this was a passion of yours?
Actually, around 14, I didn't want to play.
Really?
But back in my days in Haiti, I had no choice. What daddy and mom said, that's what's got done.
Right.
I probably got into it around 17, 18, when dad now gave me the freedom to go play out. So now I was no longer playing for daddy's church. I was going other places, playing for different congregation, different pastors. And then as I started spreading my wings and getting my independence from my parents, it started to feel good. And also being in the conservatory, which was a very competitive environment, I got to meet some of the brightest pianists, Haitian pianists ever, and compete against them, some of whom have remained lifelong friends. So that circle just kept building me up, and that's probably from those days that I fell in love with what I was doing.
Nice. So, if you were not a musician today, what do you think your profession would be? Did you have something else that you thought you would be doing, or do you have something else that you love to do? So, if you were not a
Oh,
musician,
without a doubt, I would have been an Air Force
oh
pilot,
really?
flying
Flying. Oh,
airplanes
nice.
and being in the Air Force. That was my first love. That's what I wanted to do, but God said no.
Okay, okay. So you went on a different path.
That's
you
right.
chose music. Okay. You are currently the director of the Palm Bay Seventh-day Adventist Church in Orlando,
Yeah.
with the
In
renowned
Palm Bay,
in Palm Bay for Palm Bay SDA Church. I'm
Yes.
sorry, and with the renowned Whitley Phipps.
Yes.
So, with your musical talent and his famous musical gift, what is that collaboration like?
I can honestly say it's a match made from heaven. Because my background musically was built on classical at first. I grew up in the church. So musically, I am very much in line with Pastor Phipps' style of music. He's not a very aggressive kind of gospel
Yeah,
artist
yeah,
performer.
yeah,
He
yeah.
is more of a
Yeah.
hymn kind of person.
Yeah.
He does a lot of hymns. He sings nothing but hymns, classical kind of stuff, orchestral kind of arrangement. So being in that environment is just one of the best for me as far as what my background musically is and what he is comfortable with. That's his zone. So the last 16 years have been some of the best musical years I've ever had.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate right now.
Uh-huh.
And we did not discuss this, but with that answer, and knowing that you have been the musical director for a number of churches, what would you say, or which church would you say you've had your best musical experience? Or is that putting you too much on the spot?
No, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Which church gave me my best musical? I guess I'm a special human being. I've had great relationship with the four main churches that I have crossed path over the last 35 years. Let's say 35.
Yeah, and the longevity.
23
too.
years in Freeport, that's a Seventh-day Adventist church, and 16 at Palm Bay, that's what, 39? That's SDA churches. 16 at Antioch currently in Oviedo, Florida, and 13 at Amity.
Yeah.
I had a great time at Amity back in New York. If I was to fly back to New York tonight, whomever is at Amity in the morning is out of a job.
Wow.
That's my relationship with Amity Baptist Church in New York. It's something that I can't describe. I don't have to ask them. If they find out that I'm in New York, whomever is there, go get another job. That's it. Ebenezer was a special environment. I had 23 years there, and it was 23 wonderful years. When I decided to move on, it was just time to move on. I must say the last 16 years at Palm Bay, I got to give them credit. I have not met a better environment for a professional SDA musician than Palm Bay. It's not a big church. It's a small church. But the level of respect, appreciation, how I'm treated there, the atmosphere in that church, it's a special church. It's not like, I'll give you an example. One of the things I love about my church at Palm Bay is nomination time, elections time. It is the most beautiful environment to be in.
That's rare to hear.
Oh yeah. When we do elections at our church at Palm Bay, I have never seen the process go over 20 minutes.
Wow.
Never in 16 years. By the time the church clerk comes or whomever, the committee presents the name, reads the name, they First of all, we don't do all that mumbo jumbo reading 100 names and have people waiting 45 minutes to read the report. Everybody can read in America.
Right.
This is not the bushes or something. You give the report to the members, they read it, everybody can read. Save yourself some time.
Right.
If you have your remarks, come back Wednesday night, Thursday night, put up your remarks.
Right.
So when it's time to vote, Pastor Phipps moves this process
Wow.
so much faster.
Wow.
We waste too much time.
It can be very tedious.
And the process itself, you can feel the presence of God. Listen, I'm a PK. I'm a PK. It doesn't matter where. Haiti. I'm sorry, Jamaica. You know, I lived in Jamaica for a while too. Martinique, Guadeloupe. Any churches in New York, Haitian, American, Jamaican. This is a side of our churches that I personally don't like. But at Palm Bay, it's been a blessing and a wonderful experience over and over.
Wow. Wow, that's very rare to hear because that's a process that can be very tedious. It can be very long, and not something that everyone looks forward to. So that's very rare.
That's right. People don't want to work, and then the atmosphere, some
hear.
of the bad days that I don't want to go back to there.
Yeah.
I count my blessing. God is
Well,
good.
that's good.
Yes,
That's good.
yes.
At least it's orderly and
Oh my
so that's
goodness.
very good.
At Palm Bay
good.
is beyond what I can describe. How we do it at Palm Bay is just Christ-like.
That's good. That's good.
It's with human beings.
Yeah.
It's the same us. It's the same us. The same. Some from Jamaica, some from Haiti, some from the wherever in the Caribbean. It's the us people.
Yeah.
But the atmosphere at our church is impeccable.
Yeah, we have a great atmosphere here to Ambassador.
All right. I'm glad to hear that. Glad to hear that.
Okay, so let's divert a little bit. Let's talk about the pandemic. Let's talk about how that affected you personally. How did it affect you and your family? How was that experience for you?
Well, my family, I've lost my brother this year.
Yes.
Kineli Jean-Pierre, he died from COVID complications. So this has hit us personally. As a musician, I'm still doing so many funeral homes calling me. Earlier this year, I was probably doing 2 or 3 per week.
Wow.
Different funerals home in Orlando. The calls were coming. They're constantly looking for musicians. And it's very sad to realize that a lot of our people don't take this thing as seriously as they should have.
Yes.
I believe that many more lives could have been saved if too many of us in society weren't being reckless or selfish. COVID, I believe that is on its way out. Thank God our church in Palm Bay restarted today.
Oh, today was your first. Okay.
In attendance.
Oh wow.
It wasn't full, of course. Maybe 70, 80 people. But I'm so glad to be back in the building.
Yes.
I am
it's
exhausted.
a different feeling, isn't it?
I am tired as a musician of producing tracks, which thank God we were ready because our church was already online. So we had everything in place. It's like when the church announced that we were closing March, whatever the date was, the following Sabbath, we had music ready. Pastor was already preaching his stuff online. So our online service went smoothly. And technology-wise, I was well-equipped to bring in the praise team when necessary, record them, produce the tracks, and then stream them online. But doing this for 18, 19 months of creating track, producing track, finding music under these circumstances, and people don't realize the amount of work that somebody like me had to do. It's one thing to have a studio at home. You got to bring the soloists. And at the very beginning, the soloists were singing. Everybody was singing at home. If we go back and look at some of the presentation that I did with a praise team of 9 members, every person was singing at home using a phone or a camera. In most cases, they didn't have cameras. Then I would receive the files from Dropbox, and then I have to line them up. But because everyone is singing at home, you're not saying the word exactly at the same time that I'm saying. You're doing the best that you can. Now, I'm using my equipment, the softwares, to match everybody's voice, everybody's wording. And if the pitch is not right, I'm equipped also to make it sound right. By the time we do this thing and make it sound right, it's 9 to 16 hours of
Wow.
getting it right.
Yeah.
And it's going to be played in a service for 5 to 6
Right.
minutes.
Right.
And people don't realize
Right.
how much work we were doing behind the scenes. Pastor Phipps had to record. And there were times when he was recording very late. And he would record and something goes wrong with the camera or some mishap happened and he sends it back to me. And we are on the phone at 1 a.m., at 2 a.m., working these things out to keep the service going. I'm glad COVID, those days are over because it was very challenging, but we learned and we adjusted very quickly because, like it or not, the world is changing. It's now more about computers.
Yes.
We can do a lot more, and I only pray that most of the leaders of our church understand. Someday they may understand what we go through behind the scenes to keep things flowing, because most of them don't know.
Yeah, and music plays such a very big part of the service.
That's right.
Like you said, it's a lot of work, but then with all the editing, it was only played for 5 or 6 minutes. But
That's right.
that 5 or 6 minutes played such an integral part of the service.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think also that COVID has taught us how to worship differently.
That's right.
Yeah.
Listen, I firmly believe that church will not be like it used to be.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
It's a lot easier now. I can just pull my phone. I don't have to go to church to support my church financially. I got my church app on my phone, and if I get paid every 2 weeks, I click and send it. I don't have to go to the building anymore. I can still support them and go watch your service.
Yeah. Watch our service.
That's right.
Watch Ambassadors. So also, let's talk about the pandemic musically a little bit more.
Yes.
Because it caused you to be even more creative.
Absolutely.
You came up with the hymns every Friday night. I remember, once we got in contact again, I remember the first one that I saw, and Assel, it soothed my soul.
Thank you.
It was hymns.
Thank
It was
you.
hymns that I haven't sung or I haven't heard in a very long time.
Okay.
So you've been doing that for the past year. So tell us a little bit about how that came about and what's that been like?
Wow. Well, thank you for listening
Yes,
to our
yes.
hymns presentation. How did this come about? First of all, playing hymns is what I love to do. When no one is around, even when my wife is at work, I'll get on my piano or the keyboard and I'll just enjoy playing hymns.
Yeah.
Just improvise on hymns. And at Ebenezer, you remember, every Sabbath during offering, it was expected for me to do a solo performance. And I give credit to Elder Richards.
I remember
All this time, he would always say, Assel, why don't you record these pieces that you play on Sabbath? They are good. Record them and put them on CD. And I never did. Came COVID, which put me in a position where I was doing more studio work than actually playing.
Right.
And I started to realize that, okay, I'm not playing as much as I used to anymore. I'm missing some of my own special time because I just love to play hymns. So I said, you know what? It's time for me to do something with this. Church might not be open for a while. I'm gonna get my cameras together and then we'll do something online. But for me, that was not good enough. It's my son who said, he came to me and said, Dad, the stuff that you do is very good. It looks good. Just do it. I said, no, I'm trying to fine-tune this or fine-tune that. Just be yourself. And then he said, Dad, the stuff that you're putting out there right now looks better than CNN. And he said, go watch CNN. It's COVID right now. Remember at the beginning of COVID, TV station, those images were SD qualities. People were, news crews were reporting the news from home. So the quality of their images, that's what my son was comparing my stuff to. He said, the stuff that you have is much better. It looks better. You got the sound. You sound good. Just stand up and sit down and play. And then I said, okay, I don't have another 60 years of doing this. I'm going to start. And then one Friday night, I put a flyer out there, and I got stunned. I received calls, multiple calls from young adult friends that no longer attend the church. And as of right now, that still have no desire to attend an SDA church. But they said to me that, I don't want to call out his name. One of them I remember specifically. He said watching this gave him the connection that he's lost for more than 20 years.
Wow.
And one person shared it to the other. It started spreading. And in no time, I had solid 12 to 15 folks that were constantly calling and reminding me of the blessing that they got out of this. And I realized that all I had to do was sit down and play. Forget about all these arrangements that we professional musicians, we like to do. We like to sit and create this and that. No, the hymn of meditation is just pure, simple piano. The way I want to do it, when I'm playing, I want my mother to be able to sing with me. And my mother is 84. Once you start adding too many chords and making it a little bit more of the newer generation, how these young guys play with a lot of chords, and there's nothing wrong with that. I love it. Our older crowd can't keep up with the melody of the song. For me, it's different. When I do my thing on Friday night, I want the listener to be able to sing the verse without a director by making sure they hear the melody while I'm playing. Yes, every now and then I can spice it up a little bit. You know, it's Assel playing. But the point is, it's meditation time. Allow the listener to enjoy the moment. And it's been a blessing for now a year and 2-3 weeks.
It really, really has been. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of growing up as a child and having Friday night worship.
That's right.
That's
Back home in the 80s.
Yes. It totally reminded me of that.
Yes.
It reminded me of just the raw hymn.
That's right. That's right.
The words and just the melody.
That's
and it was so, the very first one that I watched, I sat and I enjoyed it so much because that was the memory it brought back to me.
Thank you.
In the hustle and bustle of life these days,
That's right.
we don't get to stop and remember the hymns or enjoy the hymns or
That's
even
right.
that worship time.
Yes.
And it was really, really a blessing. So I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
It sounds like the feedback has been phenomenal.
Oh, yes. It's unbelievable. There are times when, personally, I feel like for us SDA musicians, we are appreciated in words. But people don't realize that to do such a presentation, it costs money. We gotta have the cameras, multiple cameras. We want the presentation to look good.
Absolutely.
The lighting has to be right. Forget about the electric bill. That's fine. We will have an electric bill regardless. But the streaming company, Restream, my program is streamed on 4 different sites. So I gotta pay Restream. This week's flyer, I don't know if you saw the flyer that I did for my 1-year anniversary. Yes, it's a wonderful friend who did it for me, but it's $55 a week to do a flyer.
It costs.
And it costs money. To stream it online, there's a bill. The software that we use to do the presentation, a lot of these softwares now, they come with monthly and payment. You don't just buy Microsoft Word and you own it anymore. Now they have this thing where you pay Photoshop to have Photoshop and Premiere. It's almost $50 a month.
Wow.
So when you start to add these expenses to do such a presentation on your own when it's not sponsored by the church, it costs the person financially, and our folks, they come in, they enjoy it,
Yeah.
they love it,
Yeah.
and there's very little support.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very little support.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
so far, so good.
Yes,
So far, so
yes,
good.
and it speaks to the passion
That's right.
that
That's
you
right,
have.
That's right. The other good thing about this program is knowing that our presentation is also giving a lot of our younger musicians a chance to hear those beautiful hymns that are not necessarily popular.
Yeah, yeah,
There's a lot of hymns that we don't sing in church anymore.
Yes,
Now,
for sure.
it's a little different maybe in Haiti or Jamaica. I know the Haitian churches, they sing almost every hymn. Probably it's the same thing in Jamaica, they sing every hymn. But we're not in Haiti, we're in America.
Yeah.
And with the new wave of CCM music, contemporary gospel music, and that kind of music that is out there, the younger musicians, they play Tasha Cobb. They play what they hear on the radio.
Yeah, the more,
Although these hymns are available on YouTube, but they are not exposed as much as they should have been to that kind of music. So when I do this presentation on Friday night, I'm making sure that every Friday night, at least halftime, I play a non-popular hymn. I don't want to be playing Blessed Assurance or It Is Well every Friday night. No, I want to play the stuff that we don't necessarily do that often. Sometimes we go on 5-6 years, and there are beautiful hymns out there that we don't.
I know. I remember too. You're right, because there are a couple of hymns that I did not know from your segment, as well as I also noticed that you not just play from the Adventist hymnal.
That's right.
But you also play from another.
You
play from different hymnals.
That's right.
From
That's right.
different,
That's right.
whether
that's
it's
right.
a Baptist hymnal
That's right.
or.
That's right.
But you
the
you
African
do, you mix
American
it. Yes,
heritage
the African
hymnal.
American. Yes.
And I did spend 2 weeks on that. I'm
Yeah.
asking my West Indian folks
Yeah.
to realize that there are thousands of African American heritage hymnals out there. Hymns out there. Come on. There's so much beautiful music. Last night I shared, I can't remember, I shared hymns from a different collection. I can't remember the name right now.
Yeah, it's definitely something that it's good. It was really not only creative, but a blessing as well. So got a double whammy there.
Thank you.
So you mentioned earlier about your musical family, your siblings, and growing up, and you getting the lesson and then going home to teach your brother and your sisters. So tell me, what has it been like collaborating with your siblings on projects and your son? I remember Assel Jean-Pierre Jr., who's now a man, a grown man, but he himself too is very accomplished. So share with us and tell us what it's been like to collaborate with your family members now that you're adults and accomplished musicians.
Well, first of all, I thank God for blessing me with two wonderful young adult children. Now they are both married.
Yes.
They both did music.
Yes.
Brittany is a PA, but she also graduated college with her BS degree in piano performance.
Oh, nice.
She is a top-notch classical player. But during the week, she directs a clinic in Orlando as a PA. Assel has done his master's in piano, also pure performance at UCF. Assel Jr. is doing music full time. He's teaching tremendously. He's producing. He's writing a lot of stuff.
Followed in your footsteps.
Not what I wanted, but that's his choice. It's a blessing to have two heavyweight players at my house sometimes. I mean, classically, Brittany is off the chart. Working with them, a blessing and a challenge, because we are not your grade 1, 2, 3 kind of pianists. At that level, it's not father and son or father and daughter playing. The level of preparation that is required when my son and I play, sometimes we bump head, but the electricity that we share is unmatched. I wouldn't trade that for nothing in the world. When Assel and I sit on a piano and we do a duet, I can't describe to you
The
how
feeling.
how great it feels to play with my son. And we tend to have the very competitive attitude. Don't think that Assel and we playing on the piano like friends. No, we don't. Listen, we are really pushing each other's button.
Yeah, who can I do?
And at the end, it's always magic. I play extremely well with my brother Welmere, but my Welmere is a little bit more more calm, cooler. When I play with Welmere, I'm less aggressive. If he's leading, I tend to watch where he's going and play carefully. And when I'm leading, he also plays a little bit more carefully. When Assel Jr. and I are playing, we are two. He said it one day. He said, "We are two bullies at the piano. We don't play games. This is not a dad and a son playing. It's two going at it."
Wow.
And when we go back and look back, it's amazing. I mean, it's a blessing. I may not be playing as much classical as I wish I could, because lately I'm doing more production, and my son, who's producing a lot of artists now, I'm the one mixing for him.
Okay.
So
okay.
I'm-
Another capacity.
That's right. That's right. So it's a blessing, and I thank God for my family and our relationship.
That's good. That's good.
It's a blessing.
So tell me about some of the projects that you have produced and worked with your family. I remember, again, watching one of your Friday night hymn session, and you played a piece that came from your brother.
Yes.
I think that brother is in Haiti or
Yes,
somewhere, but
yes.
it was beautiful.
Thank you,
It
thank
was
you, thank
beautiful.
you,
So
thank
tell us a little bit about some of the projects you've worked on and where can it be found.
Yes.
Just go ahead and tell us about that.
Okay, right now we have multiple Jean-Pierre pianists, volume and collection on iTunes or on all major online vendors. If you just put Jean-Pierre pianist, you will find CD volume 1, volume 2, volume 3. We have Christmas presentation. We got hymns left and right. Well, my younger brother, he's the one who writes a lot more than Assel Jr. and I. So there's a lot more stuff written by Wellme, orchestration. Yes, the fact that people come to my studio and they record a lot with me in Orlando, it also cuts on my time to produce more of what I would want to do. Because I'm Minister of Music at Palm Bay during normal days, 3 choirs and a praise team. At Antioch, 4 choirs and a praise team.
Wow.
Another choir at Gilgal. So I'm running a lot of choirs, a lot of rehearsals. So it's a wonderful lifestyle, but it takes away from me having time to do a little bit more for myself. Yeah.
Well, that's good. You're in demand. And that's because you're very good at what you do.
Thank you,
So you're
you.
wanted. But that's good.
you.
And you mentioned being, the choirs and all that stuff. I remember being at Ebenezer with you.
Yes,
I
thank
remember how strict you were. I remember, we had to be on time for rehearsal, but it was good. It was good. We could tell even back then that, you were all about the music. You loved what you did. So
yeah, that's one thing.
it means you're in high demand.
I can't deal with the lateness.
Yes.
Yeah. Show up for rehearsal late. Stay
Yes.
in the back. Don't bother.
Yes.
No,
yes.
and when I talk to other choir directors, my recommendation to them is self-respect.
Yeah.
First of all, you will not come to a rehearsal held by Assel, and I'm going to sit and second guess what to teach soprano, what to teach alto. No, I'm going to prepare myself. And I don't do 2-hour rehearsal.
No, you
It
don't.
doesn't matter the event. An effective choir director should be able to deliver 3 songs in less than an hour. You should. Because people's attention span is not that long at rehearsal.
That's true.
The longer you have your choir members sit at rehearsal, the more headaches you're going to have, the more distractions. But when you come ready and especially those of us who read sheet music, you deliver. They don't have time to disturb your rehearsal. So I'm going to make sure I show up on time. You show up late, stay at the door.
Yeah.
And I thank God that so far the churches where I've served, the leadership of these churches have always supported my strict approach, and it has worked.
Yeah. I remember it very well. I remember it very well. Do you remember the time when you gave me the opportunity to direct? Remember that? We had a joint program with Lebanon. It was a joint choir.
Okay, yes.
And you gave me the opportunity to direct.
Yeah.
I messed up a little bit, but you still let me do it.
That's
yes,
right. That's
I
right.
remember
That's
that.
right.
I remember
That's
that.
right.
I remember
That's
that.
right.
So you
Good old
also
days.
teach.
Yes.
How does it feel? What's that feeling? Tell me, how do you feel when you see or when you hear about all those past and present students that you have that are accomplished musicians themselves? What is that like, knowing that you played a role in that?
It's a wonderful feeling, and sometimes I have to catch myself and realize that, okay, he's your student, but leave him alone. He's doing the best that he can. Because 10, 15 years later, when you hear that student play, you're still listening to their mistakes as a teacher.
Wow.
But the average person doesn't make that connection at all. So I'm blessed to have quite a few of them right now, adults, but serving the church. Serving the church. An organist, Michelin in Brockton, in Massachusetts, playing the organ. Whitnell replaced me at Ebenezer. And I have quite a few others all over the place nationwide.
That's good.
Do I like to teach? I like to teach the kids that have the backing of their parents. I don't like to do necessarily teenagers who
just want to learn,
exactly,
who think that's their thing. Or,
and in this line, I'll be blunt.
Real talk. That's the show.
That's right. You'll find that a lot of professionals in the church, doctors, engineers, they can afford to hire a piano teacher, but they're not home. And their children may or may not care about playing the piano. And here you go, the teacher now having to make it work. I don't do these kind of cases. I don't even want them. Find somebody else. The few students that I have are the one that I'm able to pretty much pick and choose based on their level of talent and how much support I can get from their parents.
The nurturing.
Without the parents being there, you can't raise an excellent pianist. It's impossible.
Yeah, because they have that nurturing. Just like, it kind of reminds me of what you said earlier, of your dad nurturing your career.
That's right. Somebody has to be there.
Yes,
Somebody's going to... If you have a 7-year-old that's taking piano lessons, it's either one of the parents is a pianist at home. If the parent does not play, then that parent is spending 2-3 hours on a bench watching that child practice. That's the only way they're going to make it.
Yeah, interesting. So, Assel.
Wow, Michelle, you have me talk and talk like never before.
You
are special.
I know. You are not a talker.
No, I'm not.
Assel is not a talker.
Everybody
He's a
knows
musician.
That's right. I love to play my piano. And I'm happy at the piano.
Okay, so my next question is, do you think that you have achieved everything as a musician that you can? Do you think that you could be better as a musician? And if you do, how would you achieve that?
I know God has blessed me with a wonderful career, but could I have done better? I think yes. I probably wish I had kept playing my heavyweight classical pieces when I was in my 20s. Some of the lead stuff that I played back then, the G minor ballade de Chopin, the Franz Liszt C sharp, C sharp minor piece. Those pieces, I kind of lost them over the years. Yes, I wish I kept playing them. Can I relearn them? Yes, I can. But do I have the time to spend 6 months relearning the ballad G minor of Chopin? I don't think so
No,
right
you're
now.
busy.
Do I want to? I would love to. But classical, yes, I probably, if I
Do
could,
more of.
yeah, I
So
would do more.
what made you stop playing the classical? Was it because you got
My line of work.
so busy
Yeah,
with
I got
other
so busy
things?
taking care of church.
Yeah.
There's not enough time. You can't have both.
Okay.
You can't have both.
Okay.
That I miss.
Okay. So one question that I always ask all my guests: Are you
Take it easy now.
are you living your purpose? Do you feel like you are living, or that you have lived your purpose? For some people, purpose is multifaceted, so it can be more than one thing. You know, some people probably feel, okay, I could be a musician and a doctor, or, you know, I can be a preacher and something else. Do you feel like you have lived your purpose, or that you're living your purpose?
Looking back at the impact of my career on the many young people that have crossed my path, I think the answer to your question should be God is using my talent for his glory. And if that's is what I do every time I get on the piano, then praise him. If every time I get on the piano, God is glorified, his name is lifted, a soul is being blessed. What better purpose could I possibly have in my life? So I thank God for the opportunity that he's granted me to serve in that capacity.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. Knowing that you have this God-given talent that you're blessed with, and knowing that every time you play, you may be playing to win a soul for the kingdom.
Thank you.
That's great. Now
You.
that's purpose.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
purpose. That's
Thank
purpose. So in closing, I would like. Wow, Assel, really? I would like for you to just give some encouragement to folks who may be chasing a dream, folks who are not sure if they're living their purpose or what that purpose is, to a young person who may be debating about becoming a musician and not getting the support, as you mentioned, from their family or friends. Just look into the camera and just give some words of encouragement as we prepare to close. Just fulfilling someone's goals and life and dreams, and just tell them what it is that you would encourage them to do.
Okay. Encouragement to the younger musician. As a musician, I guess I'm going to speak directly to the younger musician. 2 words. Don't compromise to be recognized.
Love that.
I can say truly that God has blessed me above and beyond my wildest dreams. Just like many of you guys out there right now may be tempted, I too was tempted. During my early years in my marriage, my wife is sitting in the back. She knows I got to tell the world about my beautiful wife just a little bit. We're 32 years of marriage. I remember during the first couple of years in my marriage, the opportunities that were offered to me in New York to go commercial. When the church was giving me at best, well, not the church, the SDA churches were giving their musician 30-something years ago at best $100 to $150 a weekend for handling 2 choirs, playing in the afternoon for AY, play morning service. The opportunities multiple times came to me to play for commercial bands. And I remember clearly the offers at the time were $400 to $600 a night with guaranteed 4 nights per week when you play locally. When you travel outside of the country, the offer is doubled. I was very tempted to go that route. Have I ever done commercial gigs? Yes, of course. I did some very good I played with some very big names in New York, but I never joined their bands on a full-time basis. I would do a couple of gigs here and there. In my 20s, the opportunities were great. But looking back right now, I made a choice to stay with the church and walk away from the commercial world. Yes, I probably made less financially, but the blessings that I'm reaping from my lifestyle, you can't compare that to those other musicians that I'm also seeing how their lives has turned 30 years later. Without a doubt, I know I'm in a better place than they all are. There's more than just making money with your talent. There's a lot more to it. Yeah. So don't compromise to be recognized. Yes, the church is imperfect, and it's never going to be perfect. Why? Because it's you and I in it. As long as you and I are the ones making the church, it's never going to be perfect. Younger musician, this is what you must do. I strongly recommend that you guys learn how to read music to the highest level that you possibly can. Everybody's playing by ear. Everybody wants to be the baddest keyboard player. What happens is that then when you have 1,000 people that play well by ear, you'll get players in church for free. But there will always be churches that want to do classical presentation. There will always be churches that want to do cantatas. They want to sing the Hallelujah Handle. They want to sing hymns that have musical essence. And too many of our young church musicians are ignoring that style of music. Stay on track. Learn how to read music. And there's a lot of good tutorial on YouTube, but there's a lot of bad ones too. There's a lot of guys that are doing YouTube tutorials that can't even explain what they're telling you. They don't know what they're talking about. We know, we watch them and we laugh. I encourage all, especially our young SDA church musicians. If you're serving in a church, listen, learn how to read so that you can serve your church on a full spectrum, because that has been the key to my successful career here in the United States.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Longevity. Longevity is key. Discipline is key.
Right. That's right.
The hard work.
Yes.
People just hear music and think it's just, it's just music.
Nope.
But there's just so much more that,
That's
especially when you're passionate about
That's
it.
right.
It's on a whole nother level.
That's
it's on
right.
a whole
That's
nother
right.
level.
That's
So,
right.
Assel, thank you
Michelle.
so much.
Thank you for having me
You're
do this
welcome.
long hour interview. I can't believe I spoke that much.
Yes. No, really.
You brought out the best of me. You are special.
Oh,
I
thank
love
you.
Michelle.
I
You're
love you
special.
too. I love you
Thank
too. It's
you.
been an absolute pleasure.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you for coming. I appreciate you for sharing. And I pray that God will just continue to bless you and bless your ministry. And I
you.
pray that you'll just continue to win souls with your music.
Thank you. And I wish you the same. Keep
Thank
on working
you.
with Real Talk.
Thank
Keep
you.
it going. Blessings to you.
Blessings, blessings, blessings. At this time, we are going to be blessed with a musical selection from the accomplished Assel Jean-Pierre Sr. Thank you for watching Real Talk with Michelle. I pray that you were blessed by the words that were shared today or by the music that was played. Continue to watch us and subscribe to us on YouTube. If you have a topic that you'd like for us to discuss, or if you would like to be a guest on the show, please reach out to us at realtalkwithmichelle1@gmail.com. Until next time, let's have some real talk.